Well, let me tell you something, boy. I'll sit here and listen to you, but you ain't taking my gun. Damn commie sons of bitches. No stairway to heaven. Okay, let's talk about this logically. I have friends in America. I had friends who, when I was going to college in '98, they actually, the college that I went to in Trinidad, the Trinidad State Junior College, is actually very well known and is pretty renowned for gunsmithing. I also had some friends when I was in Trinidad that worked for a place that sold ornamental guns. They're like guns that have all these really nice carvings on them and stuff like that, and they're quite expensive, like $3,000 or $4,000 for one gun. And they're not really guns you shoot; you just hang them above your mantle. And why anybody would pay $4 grand for a gun they don't even shoot, I don't know. But a lot of people did apparently. So the thing that really annoys me about it is there are people who take this to a silly place and they just kind of breeze by the fact that Chicago has the highest gun violence, yet they have also the most strict laws. The problem that you're going to have is you cannot get rid of all of the gun violence unless everybody, including the police officers, give up their guns. If everybody gives up their guns. Now, the thing that needs to be pointed out, that always is pointed out, but it's very relevant, is Hitler took people's guns. And he said that it was to make you safe. The fact is, people taking your weapons won't make you safe. And this also needs to be pointed out, there's some people who made the very real claim that if you say you had a Desert Eagle 50 cal in your home, well, if somebody broke into your house at night and you don't have earplugs and you just have the gun unloaded in your drawer, if by the time you wake up from hearing the noise, especially if you have a single floor home, you know, if you're living on the bottom floor and there's no upstairs and no downstairs and you're just on the single floor, and by the time you hear somebody breaking into your house, if you can get to the gun, because you're going to be groggy, if you can get to the gun, load it and cock it, and then fire it or find out where to fire it before the person can get to you, it's probably going to be pretty hard. But if you can, you're probably going to be, after the fire, after you shoot it the first time, you're probably going to be deaf and you're probably going to be blind, because the inside your home, it's going to have such a concussive effect that you're going to be deaf. It's going to be really loud. So if you don't have, headphones, which means, earmuffs, you're going to have your gun in the drawer next to you with earmuffs, and you're going to have to put your bullets in, cock it, put your headphones on, and then you're going to have to look around in the dark and see if you can find somebody wandering through your home. So the thing is, if all the people who wanted to break into people's houses knew people didn't have weapons, the crime rate goes up, because they're still going to be able to get weapons. People who want weapons are still going to be able to get weapons. So I would rather take the chance of trying to get my weapon and fire that shot, even if it's just into the wall by them, you know, if you fire at a door frame, you know, towards the person, guaranteed, if you fire a .50 caliber Desert Eagle in your home in the dark when this person's breaking into your house and they don't know if anybody's up and they're going to try to do something crazy like kill you or maybe just steal stuff from you, if you can fire that weapon and not even hit them, they're going to run. Ain't nobody going to stay around when you got a .50 cal pointed at somebody. And you may be blind and you may be deaf, but I'd rather take that chance and be able to save my life. Now I want to cap this by saying I've never owned a weapon. Never. I used to go hunting with my dad for pheasants and deer and stuff when I was a kid. My dad bought a .22 like Ruger or something like that for me, and it wasn't really for me. He bought it when we were in Denver, and then when we went to Kansas, he let me use it all the time, and he told me it was my gun, but he never really gave it to me. Partly because I told a psychologist one time that I had that gun and that I was thinking of committing suicide. So my dad kind of protected that gun from me so that because I was home alone sometimes and he didn't want me to shoot myself with it. So, you know, but technically I never owned a weapon. I never owned a handgun, anything. So I want to just say that. That being said, it annoys me that people don't see the irony in all of these laws being made in the United States and in many countries, which dictate everybody for few, you know, for a short time. What they try to do is they erode your freedoms by making laws that make it illegal for you to do things that everybody should be able to do unless you harm other people. You know, I'll explain it to you like this. When 9/11 happened in the United States, they started doing the security checkpoints at the airports. The fact is, since then till now, no one has ever caught any terrorists at those checkpoints. Those checkpoints were established to take your rights and your freedoms and get you ready to be acted like you're a criminal no matter what you're doing. If you're getting on a plane, you have no rights. That's basically what that was done to do. Now, let's switch over to Sweden. You know what Sweden did when that happened? They said it was mandatory that everybody on the plane, because in Sweden, when you turn 18, it's mandatory, man or woman has to go to 2 years of military service. So everybody in Sweden is military trained. So they made it a law. They said you have to take on the plane when you go, you cannot get on the plane unless you bring your military bayonet with you. That's how you solve this problem, okay? You don't take people's freedoms and take people's weapons. You give them the right to protect themselves. I don't need a police officer to protect me, because everybody will tell you that's the scariest thing you can do is call the police officer. First of all, they don't come until after something happens. So if I'm dead and I've been shot, then my wife will call the police and say somebody just broke into my house and killed my husband. Okay? So I want the ability to protect myself. So we have these laws that come about that take the freedom from normal citizens that are doing nothing wrong, that have spent, in some cases, millions of dollars. There's people in America that have whole stockpiles full of guns, and they can do that. There's nothing saying that they can't do that unless they're doing something with those weapons that is illegal. If you walk into somebody's house and they have 35 AK-47s, if they haven't shot anybody with them, what's the problem? There is no problem. It's just it makes you feel uncomfortable. And like I've said before, if you feel uncomfortable of what somebody else does, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable. Doesn't matter, you know. So everybody has the right to be free. And for you to have 8 or 9 people in the United States do something, so you make a law that dictates 300 million people for those 8 or 9 people, is stupid. But they do it all the time. They do it here in Japan. A couple people will do something, and they will make a law that dictates what happens to everybody. And that's just stupid, you know. Just plain and simple. It's just stupid. There's no reason for it, you know. So I think, you know, yeah, it should be more difficult to get a weapon in the United States. You know, they should make it, you know, if you have like schizophrenia or things like that, they should make it harder for you to get a weapon. You know, if you have mental illnesses, if you've been in a mental facility, if you're on drugs, you know, like drugs for mental illness, if you've been accused of felony, you know, I believe that's, you know, right. You know, if you've been a wife batterer, things like that, you know, convicted of rape, you know, things like that. Yes, they should have all that on file, and you should be able to quickly tell if somebody should even be allowed a weapon, you know. But the fact is, even those people, if they really want a weapon, they can drive down to the hood and buy one from some gang member. So the fact is, it's not going to stop them bringing it in. Just like the war on drugs, by making it illegal to own a weapon, what you're going to do is you're going to make the underground market get huge, and you're going to have these huge syndicates of underground people. By making it legal, which is what it is now, you don't have that. There's no underground syndicate like they have with the drug rings. But you're going to have people bringing in weapons from all over the world to sell to people, because people are still going to want to buy them even if you make them illegal. So it's really stupid, you know, to do that. And you don't have the right to take people's rights to try to keep them safe, because the fact is no law makes anyone safe. Laws are made because people break them. If nobody broke the law, nobody would have to make the law, you know. Now granted, there are strange laws in America, like you can't marry a horse in some states, you know. Who would marry a horse? Apparently somebody tried to do it, so they had to make a law. But then again, there's a lot of really, really stupid laws in America on the books. And it seems like these legislators in Congress just sit back, and every year they make more and more and more laws. They had said in 1996 that there was 1 million laws on the books. And now there's over 6 million laws on the books. Now in 1996 they estimated that in the Library of Congress there was 1 million laws on the books, and that it would take an estimated 26,000 years to read every law. And if you say you're ignorant of the law, then you can't claim that. Yet it would take you 26,000 years to read all those laws in fine print, because that's what they are. So, plus they're in legalese, which means you wouldn't understand them anyways. Now, by them being able to do that, that's why a police officer can pull you over and just make up shit on the spot and just say, well, you've done this or you've done that, or I'm going to give you a ticket for this or that. Because the chances are, with so many laws on the books, 6 million now, the fact is it's probably illegal for you to do that, whatever they're claiming you're doing, you know. And that is what's really bad, because there's no reason for them to do that. And the Congress was set up where this is something I point out, I've pointed out before in videos, but this needs to be pointed out. The United States is not and has never been a democracy. Democracy is in the Communist Manifesto. It's a communist doctrine. Democracy means that if you can lie to the people, Fox News, and convince 51%, not even 51%, just 51.0001% that there are good reasons for electing this person or doing this, and 49.99% of the people don't like it. If you can do that, then the 49% become slaves to the 51%. That's democracy. And that's also not United States. Why do you think in the Pledge of Allegiance it says to the republic for which it stands? In the Lincoln Monument it says we were founded under a republic. The reason why is they set it up to where you need a overwhelming majority. Now, an overwhelming majority is not 51%. We're talking like 85 or 88%. How hard do you can see how hard it is for Obama to make laws right now in the Congress, because you have a whole side that's just like, fuck Obama, right? So if you had to get the Congress to agree to 90%, 85 to 90% of Congress to agree to a law or something, how easy do you think it would be for them to pass laws? That's why they set it up that way. They're there to work for the people. And it's very hard for these people who are elected officials to set laws and make precedences if they have to get an overwhelming majority. If they can get 50% of the Congress to get elected, to over 50%, even like 60% of the Congress to say be Democrat or Republican, then they already have the overwhelming majority, and all they have to do is vote, and now they've passed laws. So they become this other 48% or 40% become slaves, and all of those states that they represent become slaves to that 60%. That's not the United States, and that's not freedom, and that's not how the United States was set up. But that's how they have us believing it's supposed to be. Sometime in the 20s, they started saying that the United States is a democracy. We are not and have never been a democracy. The United States is not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic, which means everyone has equal say. If you don't get to go into a someplace and vote, and if there's 3 people and 2 people say yes and 1 person says no, then you have to try to convince that last person. Just kind of like how they do in court cases, you know. If 1 person says, no, I don't agree, then it's done. If you can't convince that last person, the person doesn't get convicted. Well, that's the way the Congress was set up as well. And by doing that, they set it up that way because it would make it very hard for the Congress to overrule the people and to take people's rights, because you have to have an overwhelming majority. And they said, well, an overwhelming majority is 51%. No, it's not, you know. And that's what really is annoying, because they're able to make these 6 million laws because of this. And it's against the Constitution, you know, for them to be able to do that. So there's these people that want to make these laws and take gun freedoms away, and maybe take all of your guns, while the police still have weapons and are still able to kill citizens at will just for fun, just because they can. So they walk up to you, and no citizens are supposed to have weapons, but they say, well, I didn't know if he had a weapon, so I shot him 8 times, you know. And then 2 of my guys that stood there and watched me do it put a couple bullets in him too, just to make sure he's dead, because we were scared, you know. that's not going to stop just because nobody has weapons, you know. And maybe people feel like we shouldn't be able to protect ourselves from government officials. But the fact is the fucking police in the United States are starting to run amok. And every day we're hearing people being shot from police officers. I believe that if that's the case, whether police think it's legal or not, and people who agree with the police think it's legal or not, like Fox News and shit like that, you should be able to protect yourself from a police officer. The way police are right now, you should be able to carry a loaded weapon in your vehicle. And if a police officer stops you, you should be able to protect yourself. Just because I have a weapon in my car doesn't mean I'm trying to kill the police officer. But guaranteed, if you're trying to kill me, I'm going to have the right to try to kill you. Because the right to own a weapon is for protection. And if I feel threatened from a police officer, I will shoot. You have that right. You don't have the right in America to take my freedom just because you pull up behind me in a cop car. Think of it. You're, as a police officer in the United States, you are supposed to protect and serve. What are you serving now? They do what they're told by the government officials, and they work for government entities to steal money from the citizens of the city they work for. They're there to blackmail citizens and to work on a Ponzi scheme to steal wealth from the citizens so that they can buy artillery and weapons from the military so that they can subjugate the citizens of the city they're working for. That's what they do. That's a fact. And we're supposed to sit back and take that. Do you feel free? Do you feel protected when you see a police officer pull up behind you in a police vehicle? I don't. I don't know that anybody does. Even if you know for a fact you haven't done anything. You know that your car is legal, that you weren't speeding, that you paid your taxes, that you have nothing you've done, you've never been anywhere that would make them need to pull you over, you have insurance on your car, your registration is fine, you just did a checkup on your car, all your lights work, you have no reason for them to pull you over. And a cop pulls up behind you, whether his lights are on or not, you all of a sudden get sweaty palms and you start thinking, what did I do? What have I done? Does that make you feel protected? Do you feel protected when that happens? Do you feel like they should have the right to do that to you? Does that make you feel safe? Well, I tell you what, me being allowed to have a weapon makes me feel safe. And if somebody breaks into my house, or I'm walking down the street, or I'm in a library or a school, and I'm allowed to have a weapon, people may get hurt, but I'm not going to be one of them. People may get killed, but I'm not going to be one of them. I'm not going to go down not fighting, being a weakling because somebody told me I can't protect myself. I don't have the right to protect myself. I don't have the right to carry a weapon in case something like that happens. If you have the right to walk around with a concealed carry or an open carry, the fact is that is a deterrent to most criminals. Most criminals aren't going to want to deal with people. How easy do you think it is for somebody like this shooter that just happened in Oregon? How easy do you think it would be for him to kill more than a couple people if everybody in the class had an open carry? Everybody in the class had an open carry. He would come in, pull his gun out. Everybody'd look up and see the gun. And at first, yeah, everybody's going to go like, oh shit. And then everybody's going to reach down, grab their gun, and pull it out. Everybody's going to be facing their gun at the guy. And he's going to have, 20 guns pointed at him. And then he's going to pull off a shot at somebody. Maybe he already did because the gun went off. And that's why everybody pulled out their gun. And as soon as they tell him, put your gun down, if he doesn't put it down, 20 people are going to go, bam! And that's the end of the gun. That's the end of the guy. One person got shot. Maybe two. And the guy that shot the people. In this case, and in most cases, the reason why nobody is able to protect themselves and why 12 people die is because nobody is able to protect themselves. Nobody has a weapon. They always try to say like, oh, you aren't trained and nobody goes to the firing range and, you're not like a cop. You're not trained to shoot the weapon all the time and all this stuff. Well, I hear things all the time, like a little incident that happened in New York where two brothers got pulled over in a pickup truck. They got out of the truck, and one of them was drunk, and they started fighting with the police officer. There's two cops. They shot those people over, I believe they said over 40 times. Out of the 40 shots, 15 hit the vehicle, and this was at close range. We're talking 20 feet away. This was at close range. They didn't hit him. They didn't even hit him. Didn't hit the guys. And the guys drove off. The guys actually got in their car and drove off. This is police officers. So I'm supposed to feel protected when there's these fucking idiot flakes out there saying, I've got the power because I'm a police officer. I've got a gun. I'm supposed to feel protected with these fuckheads out there? And anytime they feel like they can just whip their gun out or mace you or fucking shoot you for fun, and I'm supposed to feel protected? I'm not supposed to be able to protect myself in my own home? If you call a police officer or you call a police station and say, there's somebody calling me on the phone and they're saying they're going to come to my house and kill me. They say, ooh, sorry, can't do nothing. Gotta wait until he comes to your house. If he comes to your house and he threatens you, we might come to your house. Maybe. We'll have to see. Now, if he actually shoots you, then we'll come and we'll investigate. So, that's supposed to make me feel safe? I'll tell you what makes me feel safe. If somebody comes to my house and say, come on, man. Come on over to my house. I've got a 9mm Glock waiting for you. And a 7-inch blade. Come on over to my house. I'll shoot you and gut you like a fucking pig. Come on. You think that guy's going to want to come to my house? If he knows I'm loaded and ready and I got a weapon? No. And that's what keeps people at bay. That's what keeps these criminals at bay. And like I say, the only way to get rid of it is to get rid of all weapons, including the police, to where nobody can have weapons at all. And by doing that, you make people unsafe. Because like even in Australia, everything in Australia kills you. There's like the freaking King Brown and fucking alligators and shit everywhere that wants to fucking kill you. The emu or whatever, the thing that fucking like scratches you, and then you have fucking the kangaroos that'll come up and fucking kick you with their feet and kill you. They'll gut you with their fucking feet. Shit like that. So not having a weapon is stupid. You gotta have a weapon. You might need it to protect yourself so that you don't get killed. you know. So it's fucking retarded. Not only that, but like I say, think of how many millions of dollars worth of weapons there are in the United States. Everybody's just supposed to give those up. A lot of people, that's an investment. There's people with antique classic guns, and someday the guns that we have now will be antiques and classics, you know? Like think of like an old 9 millimeter, you know, German gun, you know, handgun. Those are collector's items now from the like 1930s and 1920s and stuff. Those old guns that you used to use in the movies. Those are collector's items now, you know. And there's people that own those weapons and they don't actually even fire them. They're just in a collection. Those people are supposed to give all that up because you think it'll make them safer and everyone else safer, you know. Because that's what you're asking them. You're asking them to give up their weapons and allow the police to take care of us. That's stupid. Not only that, but you're asking us to give them all up because a few psychotic people with mental disorders have shot people. I'm sorry, that doesn't make me, I don't care. You know, like I say, I've never owned a weapon, but if I want to, I should be able to. You know, because I've never done anything, but I want to be able to have a weapon to protect my family and myself if I need be, you know. And I should be able to do that in the United States as long as I'm not harming someone else or harming property. I should be able to own a weapon and carry it without a permit to protect myself if need be. Because that's freedom and that's America. I have the right to own a weapon, to own a vehicle, to own anything I want as long as I'm not harming other people. You know? Now, if I'm driving down the street with my 9mm fully automatic and I'm shooting people's car windows out, then you got a problem, you know? Then you might want to stop that person and take their gun away. But if you're just owning your gun and you have it in a holster right there, and you just drive around every day with your gun, and you know, once a month you go to the gun range and pop off 50 rounds just to make sure that you got your aim right, you know, and you pull your weapon out, shoot it a few times, throw it back in your thing, and pull it out, shoot it a few times, and you practice that just to make sure that you can, you know, pull your gun out quickly so that when something does happen, you're not like, you know, doing that kind of shit. I don't see any problem with that, you know. I don't see any problem with going everywhere. Now, I do think it's a little bit weird, these fuckheads that walk around with AK-47s in McDonald's, you know, that kind of shit that they're doing down in Texas. That's a little bit stupid. You know, there's no reason to walk around a city street with an AK-47. Now, if you want to, I don't see any problem with it. But the fact is, it's weird, you know. But to see somebody like walking down the street with a gun holster on their side with a 9mm, first of all, I'm probably going to think that's a police officer. But second of all, I'm not going to feel threatened. I'm actually going to feel safer. If I'm sitting in a restaurant and 6 or 7 of the people in a restaurant have weapons, I'm not going to feel threatened. I'm going to feel pretty safe. Because if somebody did come in there and do something stupid, the chances of those people not popping off a shot and killing that person is pretty good, you know. So I'm gonna feel pretty safe, you know, because those people are gonna protect me. Because the police aren't gonna come until 7 or 8 people have been shot in that restaurant and the guy has got away and went someplace else and shot himself in the head, you know. And then the cops are gonna say, "Oh, geez, another shooting," you know. Well, the reason why there was another shooting is because people can't protect themselves, you know. And all these gun people, you know, that are like, we got to take the rights of everyone else, and you should give up your guns, and guns don't protect people, and it's those are just stupid things to say. Those are just dumb things. For you not to be able to protect yourself is stupid, you know, especially when you haven't done anything wrong. There are, I can't remember the last time I looked at it. It was like, I think 2000 and something, you know. and they said that there was like 3 million registered weapons in the United States, but there was 300 million. I mean, there was another like 300 million unregistered weapons. So there's like, by now, there's over 600 million weapons in the United States. There's over like 400 million people in the United States. So you have 4 million people with 600 million weapons, over 600 million weapons. Out of those millions and millions of weapons, every year there's a few thousand people who shoot people. And typically those are disputes, you know, like people with mental breaks, mental disorders, husbands killing wives, you know, things like that. And the problem that you're having is you expect these people with 600 million guns to give up their guns because a few thousand people a year kill people. Yet most of those people have never even shot their weapon at a person. They use them for hunting or just for safety. A lot of times they have them in their house, and they might have a 9mm in a drawer next to their bed with the clip out or the clip in, but just not cocked, laying in their bedside table, and have never fired it. Never even fired it, you know. Maybe take it to the gun range once a year. Never even fired it. But it's there, you know. And you're expecting those people to give up their weapon because the police will keep you safe and the government will keep you safe. Well, to the people who say that, why don't you walk onto the nearest Native American reservation and ask them how they feel about that? Well, that's what I have to say about that. So, if you liked the video, share, like, and subscribe. Sorry it was so long. And leave your comments and questions in the section below. Remember that if you want to make money on your site, to go down below, there's the FilmStudios and you can get your site approved and you can get your stuff. There's also a website called italki.com if you want to learn Japanese or Klingon or any other language. You can get on italki.com. They have people, all kinds of teachers with all kinds of prices, and you can get a teacher and sign up for classes, and you can learn a language. So if you do want to come to Japan, or you want to go to Russia, or you want to go to Germany, you can find your teacher and you can learn the language. So to everyone else, good day.